In today's video, we're going to talk about the rise and fall of one of high school football's greatest programs to ever exist. In case you haven't heard by now, Bishop Sycamore football is all over the news for faking its way onto ESPN. They got beat down by the prestigious IMG Academy, and once that happened, everything came to light, and this school was basically a complete scam. It's hurt a lot of people, and will go down as one of the weirdest stories in high school football history. In today's video, I'm going to enlighten you on everything that is going on in this situation, what this school is, all the stuff that went on behind the scenes, and sort of the rise and fall of Bishop Sycamore's football program. We're going to get into all the details, and this is going to be a great video. But right before we get started, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed for the upcoming college football season, and I definitely need your help to hit 100,000 subscribers as we are now on the road to 100K. And I would definitely appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, like button, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Now, without further ado, let's talk about the rise and fall of Bishop Sycamore football. So in order to understand how Bishop Sycamore got to this point, we need to go back in time and see how this program was even made. The guy who founded it was someone named Andre Peterson. He played football for the Youngstown State Penguins and was under a pretty legendary head coach. The guy was named Jim Tressel, who, in case you don't know, won multiple national titles with the Penguins program and also took over at Ohio State before he was eventually fired because of Tattoogate. Peterson would eventually found this school in Columbus, Ohio, and it actually went by a different name at one point. Peterson is the founder, the director, and also coaches the team's offensive and defensive line. As I said, the school claims to be based in Columbus, Ohio, but there's no real address or actual building. The one address that can be found is an address that is actually a library at a local school, and some say it's also a rec center. So I have no idea what's going on with that. Later on in the video, I'll explain more. No one really knows when it was founded or how this thing came to be, as on multiple different occasions, Peterson said it was founded 4 years ago, but he also said it was founded in 2019. So it's probably somewhere in the middle, but if I had to guess, it's probably 2019. Last year, they played in 6 games during the spring football season, and to no surprise, they went 0-6. They were outscored 342-29 in their first year, and there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So yeah, as of right now, this is the rise of the football program. There's really not a whole lot to it. There was not a whole lot of success. So now we can talk about the downfall. They've played in a couple games this year so far, but the big one was against IMG Academy this past weekend. The team had apparently played a game on Friday night, but just a couple days later, they were on national television against the prestigious IMG Academy, and this is where the lying began. People from the Sycamore program claimed they had a ton of Division I players and talented kids, and that they were a big-time program, and somehow ESPN and their partner bought it. IMG shut them out 58-0, and commentators were very concerned about what was going on, and for the health and safety of the players, and I would be too. I mean, IMG is the number 2 program in the country, and is arguably the best high school football program in the country, so blowouts aren't unheard of, but this one was just a little bit different. Here's what one of the announcers had to say. Quote, Bishop Sycamore told us they had a number of Division I prospects on their roster, and to be frank, a lot of that we could not verify. They did not show up in our database, and they did not show up in our databases of other recruiting services. If you want to know how ESPN ends up finding their games and schedule some of these high school matchups, they go through a third party named Paragon, and ESPN and Paragon had this to say about the whole ordeal. Quote, we regret that this happened and have discussed it with Paragon, which secured the matchup and handles the majority of our high school event scheduling. They have assured us that they will take steps to prevent this kind of situation from happening moving forward. So it looks like ESPN didn't do their research and they just took Paragon's word for it, and that goes to show you just how far ESPN's fallen off. After the loss, many called Bishop Sycamore a scam, and a member of the school actually defended them, saying, quote, there's nothing that I've gotten out of this that would constitute it as a scam because I'm not gaining anything financially from what we're doing. The reality of what it is that I have a son that's on the team and he's been in the program for 4 years. If it's a scam and the kids are not going to school and not doing what they're supposed to do, then I'm literally scamming myself, and most importantly, I'm hurting my own son. So when people say stuff like that, I would literally be taking my son's future and throwing it in the trash. I don't know if I really believe this guy, but he is right. He would be hurting his son in the process, which is something I know I wouldn't do. The immediate aftermath of this was it blew up all over social media and all the major sports sites, and pretty much everyone in the world was talking about this, and I had multiple friends sending me links to all this stuff, and it was just nuts. Because of that, as of today, Tuesday, August 31st, the program decided to move on from their head coach. This decision was apparently made on Sunday night, but it did not come into the light until today. Johnson had this to say about the firing of Roy. Quote, Roy has honestly been like a little brother to me in that sense when we were really launching Bishop Sycamore. There were some things we wanted to do better and could have done better. I value him as a person, but I just thought right now we needed to step down and he needed to go, and we decided to mutually part ways. So in fact, he was not fired, but instead he was let go and told to resign. Some of the reasons this included was because he wasn't looking after injured players, had fraud charges, and was actually in trouble for domestic violence as well. So not only did he not care about the players who he was actually coaching and promised to be there for, but he also stole money and obviously has very low character as he hurt his family members, which makes me wonder about the rest of the staff and the legitimacy of that other guy who said he cares about his son. Odds are, if the head coach doesn't care about people like that, then he's not too worried about the culture and character of his other coaches on the staff either. It only gets worse from here, as when you look at the website, it looks like more of a football recruiting blog page than an actual school, and many wonder if a lick of academics ever happened. Johnson had this to say about it, quote, "We have to make sure that the website also includes the academic part of it. There's things that you learn. There are growing pains that you have, and we realize that's an issue. The reality of it is that we've caused some questions by not doing some of the things that should have been done before, so that's understandable. I totally get that. We have to make it an actual school website." This is just absolute nonsense at this point, as literally this guy set up a school but forgot to mention the academics and school part on the website. If that doesn't scream scam or that something is fishy, then I don't know what will. Overall, the whole thing was an absolute scam, but the worst part about it is that there were a ton of kids and family members that were hurt in the process. Let's meet one player named Aaron Boyd, who has been outspoken about Bishop Sycamore for a couple years now. In case you didn't know, he claims to be the first player ever recruited by the program, and he's been exposing the dark secrets ever since he left. It was all pretty murky. He said, quote, "At first they had like brochures and stuff, and they sent me books with stuff on how the school was supposed to look. They had blueprints and everything. They told us we were going to be on Netflix, and they recruited us telling us we were going to be on a show like QB1. They told us we were going to be the IMG Academy of the Midwest, and they ended up lying to me and my mama." Boyd and a couple other guys stayed in a hotel for 5 months, and they were promised they'd get paid for it, but it didn't happen, as the founder just kept writing bad checks that never went through. He said, quote, "For 5 months we didn't have housing. All the players found out and we never got the hotel paid for. The school was writing them bounce checks. Not only did they not have a good place to stay or actually a school to go to, but they could barely eat." Boyd said that him and his other players would have to resort to stealing food from the local grocery stores or else they would go hungry. To make matters even worse, they never went to school, and this proves that it was a scam all along, and all those quotes before were BS. Boyd said, quote, "We didn't go to school and we never went to school. I can't lie, they did try once. They took us to a community library, and one day it was already October and the season was about to be over, so I was like, at this point, I'm not going to school. Y'all haven't put me through school this entire time, so why would I go now?" So Boyd was obviously hurt by this process, but his career wasn't over just yet, as he did return to high school. The downside was he would have to repeat his entire junior year, and he hated that. Most of the other guys were already out of high school, so they just went on with life or didn't have to go back to high school, so it wasn't that big of a deal. There are also rumors that junior college kids were playing in this game for the Sycamore's program, but Boyd had no comment on that, as he said he wouldn't be surprised, but he did not know for sure. There's one more example I want to highlight in today's video, as there was a player who ended up getting a scholarship to Youngstown State. Congratulations to him for that, but he decided to back out of Bishop Sycamore because his father saw right through it. They promised him a lot of playing time and that they would help him get to the next level, but his dad decided not to let his son play in any of the games and that they would focus on recruiting events. But the school was not done with them, as they told his son that that visit in Georgia would be paid for, but when they got to the hotel, he was given a $2,500 bill and told that none of the 15 rooms had ever been paid for. From there, his son and another player on the team went to a camp down in Texas, and when they got there, the player was apparently not eligible because he had somehow faked his highlights. I'm not quite sure how you do that, or how the person in the camp even let them get accepted into it, but you know what? I don't have the answers to all these questions, and sometimes people just don't care that much. So overall, to recap, Bishop Sycamore got killed 58-0 by IMG Academy this past weekend, and questions about the school's legitimacy and leadership were raised. Apparently no one went to school. They scammed a lot of these players. They put the kids under a higher risk of getting injured. They made some of the kids resort to stealing. They didn't pay for the recruiting visits. The kids never attended classes, and the address was at a completely different location. So yeah, Bishop Sycamore had a very minimal and quick rise and a very hard fall, and at this point I would not be surprised if the school was absolutely put under and that it is basically shut down. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen coaching staff, the players, and all the aftermath from all this. And I'll definitely try to make a follow-up video in the near future if I get any more details. But what do you guys think? What do you think of this story? What do you think should happen to the coaching staff? And what's another great, crazy story I can take a look at in another video? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section. Hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.